Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Here I would like to explain about the sociolinguistics. The topic is code switching. The first, let me introduce myself. My name is Aida Maharani. I'm from class 6F. And the first is definition of code switching. Code switching is the practice of moving back and forth between two languages or between two dialects or registers of the same language at one time. Code switching occurs far more often in conversation than in writing. It is also called code mixing and style shifting. It is studied by linguists to examine when people do it, such as under what circumstances do bilingual speakers switch from one to another. And it is studied by sociologists to determine why people do it, such as how it relates to their belonging to a group or the surrounding context of the conversation, casual, professional, and etc. And the next is type of code switching. Here, there are three types of code switching. The first is intersentential. In intersentential code switching, the language switch is done at sentence boundaries words or phrases at the beginning or end of a sentence. This type is seen most often in fluent bilingual speakers. For example, if you are ready for the job interview, Izi Alim Mazin. The second is intrasentential. In intrasentential code switching, the shift is done in the middle of a sentence, with no interruptions, hesitations, or pauses to indicate a shift. The speaker is usually unaware of the shift. For example, you are sleepy, call Guzaman, because you spend a lot of sat in your bed. Different types of switches occur within the clause level and within the word level. And the third is extrasentential or text switching. This is the switching of either a single word or a text phrase from one language to another. This type is common in intrasentential switch. It involves the insertion of a text from one language into an utterance in another language. For example, el SDO secaya si los crearon a ellos, if you know what I mean. Another example is how Turkish students use some boundary words like ama or yani while speaking English. And the next is reason speaker use code switching. There are three number of possible reasons for switching from one language to another. The first is to fulfill a need. A speaker who may not be able to express him or herself in one language might switch to another to compensate for the deficiency. As a result, the speaker may be triggered into speaking in the other language for a while. This type of code switching tends to occur when the speaker is upset, tired, or distracted in some manner, or when they are less fluent in one language. Second is to express solidarity. Switching also commonly occurs when an individual wishes to express solidarity with a particular social group. Rapport is established between the speaker and the listener when the listener responds with a similar switch. And the third is to exclude other. Code switching may also be used to exclude others from a conversation who do not speak the second language. For example, if two people in an elevator in an English-speaking place speak Spanish, then not only would the others on that elevator who do not speak Spanish would be excluded from the conversation, but also a degree of comfort and intimacy would be established between the Spanish speakers due to the fact that not all those present in the elevator can listen to their conversation. And for the next is who use code switching. Code switching occurs mostly in bilingual communities. Speakers of more than one language are known for their ability to code switch or mix their language during their communication. According to Aronoff and Miller 2003, indicate many linguists have stressed the point that switching between language is a communicative option available to a bilingual member of a speech community, just as switching between styles or dialects is an option for the monolingual speakers. And for the next is code switching as a language interference. In certain settings, code switching might be barrier to communication rather than an act. In the classroom, for example, code switching can be seen as language interference since it might impede learning. Although students may see code switching as an acceptable form of communication in society and may feel comfortable switching language in everyday normal conversation, in some other settings, this type of communication would put those who are not bilingual at a disadvantage because they would not be able to understand. Therefore, code switching can be both beneficial and a possible language interference depending on the situation and the context in which it occurs. And the next is example of code switching. Here there are some of example of code switching. The first is English plus Turkish. If you have an exam next week, Semidon Karismaya Basla Malizin. And the next is Spanish and English. Gracias for the lovely gift. Está awesome. And the next is Tagalog and English. Pwede ba tayo mag-dinner sa Barnes? Burgers later. I want protein. And the next, English and French. Are we eating just the mere demand? And the next, Arabic and English. Sawaiti ay humbruk tabaik. And then the next is Vietnamese and English. Ngocong dang celebrate chai sin nat. And the last, Mandarin and English. Niau ku get pizza with me ma. Okay, I think that's all about the code switching I explained. Thank you very much for your nice attention. And as I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.